Her laptop was always open. She said it was for convenience, quick edits, fast replies to clients, playlists while she worked. I never questioned it. She was a graphic designer. Files, folders, tabs, they were part of her landscape. I knew better than to disturb it. Sundays were our paperwork days. Coffee, tax prep, bills. The kind of quiet domestic rhythm that made things feel stable. That morning, she had stepped into the shower while I was sorting through our expense documents. I needed to double-check a transaction. The Airbnb receipt from last July. She had booked it under her email, but we both paid for it. Her laptop was right there. Already open. The cursor blinking in a Google Chrome tab. I tapped the trackpad. The browser loaded. I didn't go digging. I didn't open her messages or emails. I just typed Airbnb into the search bar and hit enter. First result, fine. Second, not ours. Third, still not. But something else caught my eye. A notification slid down from the top right corner of the screen. Shared folder us, updated by Chris M. The name didn't register at first. I thought maybe it was an old client. She had folders for everything. She was organized to a fault. But something about the quotes around us felt strange. Too personal for a project. I clicked it. Inside, photographs. Over 100 files. Labeled. Dated. At first glance, it looked like travel content. Couples posing on rooftops, lakes, trains, airports. I kept scrolling. The woman in the photos was her. The man wasn't me. It didn't feel real. There was no confrontation, no dramatic sound. Just a gentle hum from the laptop fan. And a folder open full screen, where she smiled at someone else the way she used to look at me. I scrolled faster. Seattle, Boston, Chicago, even Paris. All places she had supposedly gone for girls' trips, retreats, and creative resets. The dates matched weekends. She said she needed space, time, a change of scenery. In one photo, they stood on a balcony. Her hand was tucked into his jacket pocket. She wore the same sunglasses she wore home the next day when I picked her up from the airport. Nothing about her was different when she came home. Not her tone. Not her patterns. If anything, she was softer. Kinda. The guilt must have settled just right. I never noticed. Now I couldn't unsee it. There was a subfolder labeled Tahoe. That trip was supposed to be a yoga retreat. She brought back lavender soap and a cotton robe. Told me about the sunrise meditations and how her roommate snored. In the folder, she was in a cabin. With him. Playing cards. Eating ramen out of paper bowls. Nothing fancy. Just life. It wasn't the intimacy that hit hardest. It was the normalcy. It looked like a relationship. Like the one I thought we had. Only I wasn't in it. I copied the folder to a blank USB. No panic. No anger. Just slow, precise motion. I didn't even close the window. Just ejected the drive and slid it into my wallet. My hands were steady, which somehow made it worse. You expect to shake when something breaks. But I didn't. It felt like my body already knew. She came out of the shower humming. Her hair wrapped in a towel. She kissed my cheek and asked if I wanted pancakes. I said sure. I watched her flip through the cabinets like nothing had happened. Because nothing had yet. Later that day, I opened the files again. This time on my own laptop. Alone. I studied the photos like evidence. Not for revenge. Not for drama. Just for understanding. There's something grotesque about needing to map a relationship like a crime scene. But I couldn't stop. I checked timestamps. File names. Geotags. I built a spreadsheet. She was with him on the weekend of my cousin's wedding. The one she said she couldn't attend because of a deadline. She was in a cabin in Vermont the weekend. She texted me a picture of her view from the writing retreat. The photo she sent me was taken months before, recycled. In the drive folder, I found the real trip. Same date. Different location. Different man. I remembered every lie as if I were hearing it again. But this time, I was the one playing it back. Frame by frame. There was no confrontation. No immediate response. I kept going about my days as usual. Work, gym, dinner. I made conversation. I paid bills. But something shifted. Like I was watching myself from outside my body. I started noticing things I used to explain away. How she always took her calls on speakerphone, except on Thursdays. How she wore her conference call, makeup only on days with no Zoom links in the calendar. How she always turned off location on her phone when she left the house, just to focus. We see the cracks only after the mirror breaks. And mine had shattered silently. A week passed. I didn't bring it up. I wanted to be sure. I checked metadata. Matched the images against calendar invites. I opened her shared Apple Calendar and cross-referenced it against the photo dates. It was all there. Layered. Meticulous. Like she had built two versions of her life and copied herself into both. I found a video. Just one. It wasn't graphic. Just 24 seconds of them on a train. Her leaning against his shoulder, eyes closed. He was reading something. His hand on her knee. At the end of the clip, she looked up at him and smiled. A smile I had seen before across from me at dinner, in the grocery store, during morning coffee. But it had never belonged to me. I started hearing things differently. Not out loud, in memory. Conversations that had seemed innocent now played in my head with different subtitles. The way she used to say she was recharging. The comments about space being healthy. The sudden passion for solo travel. Every phrase retrofitted with new meaning. She wasn't hiding in shadows. She was hiding in plain sight. I kept my routine the same. Smiled. Slept beside her. Ate the meals she cooked. I didn't bring up the folder. Not yet. I wasn't ready for the excuses. I didn't want the tears. I wanted clarity. Quiet. The kind of ending that didn't need words. So I kept collecting. I found a Google Doc she had shared with him. A list titled Our Spots. Restaurants. Hotels. Bookstores. Some of them were places we'd been together. Others were places she told me she didn't like. Too noisy. Too expensive. Too far. Apparently, she liked them with him. They had a shared Spotify playlist. I listened to it in my car once, just to hear what they heard. Every song felt like trespassing. There was a pattern in the lyrics. Escape. Secrets. Freedom. It didn't feel random. She had always been intentional with soundtracks. In the meantime, she kept planning our future. Sending wedding venue links. Asking about baby names. She wanted a dog. She talked about forever, with the same voice she used when describing how much she liked the pasta at that new place in town. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I nodded. Agreed. Took notes. People say heartbreak is loud. But mine was surgical. Slow. Methodical. The silence between us wasn't empty. It was loaded. A waiting room with no clock. One night, I sat next to her on the couch as she laughed at some sitcom. She leaned into me, warm, familiar. I looked at her profile, the shape of her nose, the freckle under her lip, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, and realized I would never unsee what I had seen. It's not betrayal that breaks you. It's the repetition of your own stupidity. How many times had she come home to me from his arms? How many smiles had been recycled? I didn't ask. I didn't need to. Her Google Drive had already said more than she ever could. I bought a second USB. This one wasn't for storage. It was presentation grade. Branded matte black minimalist. She liked clean design. I figured she'd appreciate the irony. On it, I placed 3 things. The folder she had shared with him. A copy of the spreadsheet I'd made with dates, transactions, cross-referenced metadata. And a text file titled, In Case You Want to Explain. The third file was blank. I didn't want to confront her in person. That would require a reaction, and she had rehearsed hers better than I ever could. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want her voice wrapping itself around another version of the story, trying to smooth the edges. I wanted silence. Clean cuts. It had been 3 weeks since I found the folder. In that time, I learned to exist with betrayal sitting beside me at breakfast. I watched her refill the coffee pot and talk about office gossip while I mentally cataloged which photos had been taken during which lies. She had no idea. Or maybe she did. It takes a certain confidence to cheat for that long. Or a certain belief that you won't be caught. Or that even if you are, the person who loves you will let it go. She probably thought I was that person. She was wrong. The plan was simple. Friday evening, she always got home an hour before me. She liked to unwind with a bath, light candles, play music. I left the USB on her nightstand, in front of the lavender oil and the rose quartz she said helped her sleep better. That day, I left work exactly on time. I didn't stop for groceries. I didn't text her that I was on my way. I didn't want her preparing a defense. When I walked in, the apartment smelled like vanilla and lemon. Her comfort zone. The lights were low. The playlist she used for winding down was playing softly in the background. She didn't come to the door. I walked past the kitchen. She was in the bedroom. The USB was still on the nightstand. Her expression was frozen. Not crying. Not angry. Just caught. She didn't ask what it was. She didn't touch it. She just looked at me. I nodded once. Not out of acknowledgement, but as punctuation. She didn't follow me when I left. She didn't call. She didn't message. Not that night. Not the next. I had expected at least one attempt to salvage it. Some dramatic script. Some you misunderstood. But I think she knew. There are betrayals you recover from. And then there are the ones you organize into folders. I never opened the folder again. Not out of mercy. Out of exhaustion. There's a limit to how many times you can dissect something that's already dead. I didn't delete it. I didn't erase the evidence. I just archived it, like a closed case file that no longer needed review. She moved out 2 weeks later. Quietly. No announcements. A few boxes disappeared each day while I was at work. By the end of the month, her shelf in the bathroom was empty. The diffuser was gone. The framed photo of us at her sister's wedding vanished like it had never been hung. She didn't leave a note. I didn't leave a question. Mutual absence, negotiated in silence. Friends started asking. I gave the same answer every time. It didn't work out. Nobody pressed. Some of them probably knew. People sense when something's rotted, even if they don't know from where. I changed the locks. Canceled our streaming subscriptions. Switched the furniture. You'd be amazed how fast you can erase a person when they were never fully there. Sometimes, at night, I'd remember little things. The way she used to warm her hands on the mug before drinking. How she laughed when her salad order was wrong. The playlists she curated for rainy days. I never skipped those songs. I let them play. But they didn't mean anything anymore. They were just sound. The day I threw out the USB was a Wednesday. Not symbolic. Not planned. I was cleaning out my desk and found it between some receipts. I didn't hesitate. Just dropped it in a bag with old batteries and outdated chargers. She had stored her secrets on a drive. I had turned them into space.